we haven't really talked about what Delta Green is, or what we're doing here, and I feel like, especially if anyone else ever watches this, they're going to be a little bit confused about what is actually happening. So I guess we'll start with probably. I want to start with Dace. What do you think Delta Green is? Like, how would you describe Delta Green to the completely uninitiated?
Well, Delta Green is like Call of Cthulhu, but with either more or less steps. I'm not sure which. What is Call of Cthulhu, you ask? It's a tabletop role playing game. What is a tabletop role playing game, you ask? Well, in 1976, there's a man called Gary
All right, all
Gygax.
right, all right. I think we're getting too far into it now.
What is a Gary
What is the Gary
Gygax?
Gygax?
What is what the hell? What kind of name is Gygax? Like, what
country
country
is
of
that
origin
from?
does it come
I don't
from?
know.
Maybe. Odin.
Yeah.
But
He comes
yeah,
from the ether himself, the outer world.
Delta Green is. I mean, it's a horror-based game for sure. It deals with like Cthulhu mythos, but not exclusively Cthulhu mythos. That's one difference between it and Call of Cthulhu. It's about suspense, but it's also about the process a lot more than Call of Cthulhu, I think. Like, it's the organization of Delta Green is almost as much of a character as PCs, and like the mythos behind it and the history of it. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So how about this? How about Jean? Like, what do you think about, or what do you know about the actual organization of Delta Green itself? Like, what's your conceptualization of it?
Oh, it's shadowy at best. It's a shadowy organization that isn't really an organization, but more a one of those that you do not talk about. So it lies in between.
Okay.
That's not best. That's all you should know.
That's all you
and
have to
that's
know.
all the questions you should ask, frankly, because right now
Well, okay, and Brad.
Well,
we
that's
haven't
all.
been talking about this.
That's really all we need to know. I don't think we have to ask Brad. I think we
Yeah,
got it.
don't ask about it. Don't talk about it. Brad, what do you think Delta Green does? Like, the organization of Delta Green, what do you think it's all about?
I mean, I think you explained it pretty good. Like, for someone not who doesn't know anything about like tabletop games or even Cthulhu, it's basically like the Men in Black, a version of the Men in Black.
Yeah.
Only instead of aliens, it's everything supernatural.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's like...
And a lot less funny or comical. Definitely funny, just not like intentionally.
Yeah,
so.
the comedy is not as lighthearted as Men in Black is sometimes. But yeah, like, I think it's an apt comparison that, you know, that the Delta Green game is about. It's about that you are working with an organization, Delta Green, that basically has taken upon itself the defense of humanity. Sometimes, depending on different parts in history, maybe they're kind of looking out for the United States, you know, or there's times where they're tilted more towards that. But basically, the idea is like there are things out there in the universe. You call them aliens, call them demons, or spirits, call it Bigfoot, whatever it is. Anything that you've ever heard, a conspiracy theory, or a weird story about, Delta Green would have been there and basically trying to cover up the awful truth. That that something is going to get us eventually. Like, I think that's part of like the Cthulhu mythos kind of idea, is like that there are entities that exist outside of the world or outside of our realm, outside of our dimension, that eventually will destroy or eat or just wake up and everything will be destroyed. And that's, I think, and it all comes from or the vast majority of it comes from Lovecraft, who wrote a bunch of the Cthulhuan stories. That's what it's all based on, old H.P. Lovecraft. So yeah, but it's like I think one of the probably one of the most popular pieces of media that's kind of touches on the feel of it. I think we mentioned it last time, is True Detective season 1.
Yep.
Like they kind of touch on that idea of there being the otherworldly or the unnatural kind of putting its tendrils into the real world. But yeah.